Welcome, Dr. Neema Lema. Your names are, it's not a tongue twister.
Rhyming.
Rhyming, yes.
Rhyming.
You have such rhyming names and very, very
Yeah.
good. It's very nice to have you here at the Thriving Families Africa Summit. These are conversations that we are having on just what it takes for families to thrive in Africa, across the diaspora and beyond. And really, really grateful to have you here. You have a very busy schedule. You're doing so much for the families out there. And so I'm really glad that you could take time to come in here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. So today, everyone, we are joined by Dr. Lema, who is a leading voice in the neurodiversity space. And she has been actively building awareness, understanding, and hope for families who are raising neurodivergent children. I usually go slow on neurodivergent. It's such a long
Yeah.
yeah, and Dr. Lema's work focuses on families not only to navigate challenges, but to create belonging and celebrate their strengths. So she's going to guide us in this conversation on neurodivergent families, understanding, supporting, and belonging. Welcome, Dr. Lem.
Thank you so much, Dr. Carol. I'm honored. I'm truly honored to be part of these global speakers. For a moment, I was like, "Wow, global! Finally, yeah."
Yeah, why not? And you can't say
Yeah.
finally because you already have a global audience, even with the conversations
Thank you.
that you
It's
have.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so thank you so much. And I'm truly honored to be here. It's always a pleasure to share my knowledge, my experience, both as a professional and also of a parent of, both typical and a neurodivergent child. So there's a lot that we see, there's a lot that we hear from other parents, there's a lot that we also still learn from everyone around us. So it's always going to be an honor for me to be able to share that. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So let's just start off by you telling us who you are and what you do.
Yes, so yes, Dr. Neema is the professional name. If you're a Swahili speaker, you can call me Daktari wa Watoto. It simply means a pediatrician in Kiswahili. So who is Dr. Lema? Dr. Lema is a mother of three beautiful children. The eldest son is the one who's neurodivergent, and for him, he has autism spectrum disorder specifically. And then the other two are what we consider to be neurotypical. And I'm also a content creator. So as Dr. Kara said, so we create content on neurodivergency, specifically autism, ADHD, and dyslexia, because those are now the commonest neurodivergent conditions we have when it comes to prevalences. And then after also, to add on to that, I also have founded an organization called Autism Voice for Children, of which our mission is really to transform the fear and pain that comes with autism diagnosis into a future that is very hopeful and expectant. Like just because your child is given that diagnosis, it doesn't mean now it's the end of the world. It's actually a branch to something completely different. And then on top of that, just the other day, we launched our clinic, Zoe Children's Clinic and Autism Center, where we now actively actually see these children walk the journey with these parents from a professional and also the social aspect of it, which is the training and the coaching aspect of it. Yes. So that's in a nutshell, that's Dr. Lema. Yeah.
That's a whole range of services that you provide and very, very much needed because parents with children who are neurodivergent really, really feel at lost. It's like lost in the sea of
It is true.
chaos and confusion and
Yeah.
aloneness. And so being able
Yeah.
to say, and I love the organization that you're saying is to transform the fear and give them
Yeah.
hope. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because those are
Yeah.
fear and confusion really comes along with the
The
diagnosis of having to
diagnosis for
raise.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's so
what is neurodivergence? Maybe we just start there.
All right. So neurodivergency, neuro is the brain. Divergence comes from the word diversity. So neurodivergency or neurodiversity is the spectrum of the brain, of the human brain for this matter. Okay. You see, before, like if you would ask 30, 40 years ago, people would have told you we all see things the same way, we all feel the same way, we all understand the same way. And so most of the systems have been created with that level of understanding that if you're not in this, then you're out. Okay. But now with time, we've been able to appreciate the divergency of things. Yeah. Neurodivergence simply is appreciation of our diversity in the way we see things, experience things, hear things, feel things. Yeah, so that's what really neurodiversity or neurodivergency is. It's a social construct, and that means we appreciate that we are in the same room, but we're not perceiving the same things. We are sitting on the same chair, but we're not feeling the same things. Yeah, we are in a noisy place, but we're not perceiving the same things in terms of the intensity of this noise. You hug me, for you it's pleasure, for me it's pain because it's too much pressure. So that's really what neurodiversity or neurodivergency means. Yeah. And when it comes to the medical and the legal framework, they consider it to be a disability. And that's also one of the things that has to be changed with time. And they do that because when it comes to the structuring of the system, again, the people who structure the system are what we consider to be neurotypical. And typical is not normal, it's not neuronormal, it's typical, means it's the majority. Yeah. So it's a neurotypical, not because the systems are designed by neurotypical individuals, they consider anything outside to be a disability. So that's where the discussion is right now. But as far as the social construct is concerned, it's just a different way of expressing the way we live. Yeah.
I really, really love the social construct aspect of it, because then that doesn't alienate anyone.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I know it's an uphill task to normalize these conversations.
It is.
From the space. Go ahead.
It is.
From the space of stigma.
Yeah, it is, from a space of stigma, from a space of understanding. Like I think the primary issue is the lack of knowledge. Yeah, because when you look at the people who are making policies today, they're either Gen X's or the older millennials, and for them, the culture, the ground, the background has always been, this is the way. You're either on it or you're out. But trust me, with time, you see, we are millennials and then we have the Gen Zs coming in. The latest data shows almost half of Gen Zs are actually diverse, identify themselves as being diverse. Yeah. And this is because a lot of these people who actually were dropped out by the system, they were sputtered. Should I say they were sputtered by the system? They were actually diverse, but because nobody really asked questions, nobody really maybe cared, I don't know, they were never represented. You cannot use the same systems, you cannot use the same strategies today. Because most people, if you ask them, if draw a line doesn't need to be straight, a line can be a circle, a line can be you understand? Yeah. So we are having a generation that's coming after us that is quite diverse in their thinking, and it's just a matter of time. And of course, for some reason, we see also, especially now for things like autism, ADHD, the prevalence is shooting to the roof. So it's just a matter of time. I always believe in my lifetime I'm going to get to a point where diversity and typical are going to be at par. I personally
probably tip to the other side because of the information that we have.
Information, and there's a lot. Exactly. I personally believe so. So it's just a matter of time. Of course, now if you are this early, you're going to suffer the heat more because you are the ones who are going to shape the systems and the structures and asking the tough questions. But I think with time, things will completely change. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're doing such an amazing work of normalizing those conversations. Like you're relentlessly giving information, holding live sessions, Q&A, and you really are. I'm sure you know how much of a foundation that you're building.
Thank you. Nice to hear. It's very humbling to hear. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So being a new field, we're getting not really a new field, but the conversations that we are having are very new to many. There's a lot of myths and misconceptions around neurodivergence. Just what are some of these myths that we can say these are the key ones, and you guys, we need to get real about this, please?
I think I'll start with one of the obvious ones, like the vaccine. I'll start with the one that is very hot, the vaccine causing all these things. Now, it started long, I think it was 1970s, that discussion. That's when it is still ongoing. It's very difficult to, how do I say? So based on the data, based on the clinical trials, based on the science, vaccines have been ruled out to be one of the causes of neurodivergency. And so we really try, because one of the things that really parents are like, oh, my baby got this and then this happened. My baby got this and this and then this happened. So there's a lot of grayness. And then also in the world that we live in today, with all these things about vaccines coming up and all that, it's a lot of gray area. But one of the things at least has been proven is that there's no a cause-effect relationship between neurodivergency or autism, to be precise, and vaccine.
Right.
At least that's the first one. I wanted to bring it out here because even up to today, even I was, I think it was last week, Trump said something. I don't know if I'm allowed to mention it, but
well, it's out there. It's out there in the news. So
yeah, he said something, and people, that discussion was again brought back to the table, like, oh, he's now trying to hint. But I don't know. We'll see. But till then, I think we don't have anything substantial. And then the second thing is, now, this is one of the things I really try to tell the parents, that autism is not an intellectual disability. That's also another thing I truly like to pass this to parents. There's autism, and then there is intellectual disability. A child who has autism may have intellectual disability, but they are not synonymous. And the reason I want to bring this up is because sometimes when your child has been told they have autism, you kind of feel it's the intelligence that's being spotted. Someone is addressing the intelligence issue, but it's not. They are two very distinct conditions. You can have intellectual disability without autism, and you can have autism with intellectual disability. Okay? So the reason I want to really, really press on this is because your child on the spectrum, or your child who is neurodivergent, can actually learn everything that you want them to learn as far as their personal life is concerned. If they are into medicine, if they are into the biology, they'll be the best surgeons, they'll be the best doctors. If they're into the piano, they'll be the best pianist. The only issue comes when you want the pianist to do medicine. That's where the biggest issue will come. Okay, so as we address or as we interact with children who are on the spectrum, this is what I always say. The mindset every teacher, every parent, every caregiver should have is, any child on the spectrum can learn everything that you want to pass. The only question is, are you skilled enough to pass that information to this child? That's the question I ask. If I'm not able to learn 1 + 1 = 2, the problem is never the child. The problem is the delivery method. If my attention span is 10 minutes, please use my attention span of 10 minutes. Do not start telling me of stories that are non-existent, because they will not help me learn 1 + 1 = 2. Yeah. Okay. So the issue here is the strategy you use is what will determine whether or not this child is going to be able to thrive even later in life, even learning concepts. And this starts all the way from home, all the way to university, for those who will be able to go to university, and even at the workplace. It's very, very important. So that would be my second myth, that autism is an intellectual disability. They are completely different. Then the third thing I would want to bring is that their behavior is willful. Like you find a child pacing. You tell a child sit down and they are not able to sit down. You find a child, steaming. Steaming is when they do these repetitive behaviors. Yeah. And you look at them like, why are you not listening? Why? Number one, just that reaction just displays your ignorance. That's, I always say, the enemy is the enemy. Ignorance is the enemy. It's never about the individual. It's purely ignorance. Yeah. So when you find a child who is teeming, a child who's having difficulties in some particular environment, it's that they did not decide to behave that way. No. Even for them, it is overwhelming just to be in that space. Okay. So if you see a child behaving in a way you consider to be inappropriate, maybe it's beyond them. And so let's reduce all these criticisms and judgments that we pass to the parents and also sometimes also to the child. Okay. And then the other thing I would say is ADHD is in discipline. Now, ADHD, these are kids who can talk, but everything is in motion. Like they're just moving on and on and on. They're not able to keep quiet. You are there with guests. They come, interact at conversations, and they want to continue contributing. This is not a discipline issue. It is how their brain is working. Their brain is very fast, and the body has to keep up. Okay, so their attention is very small. They're hyper. Okay, like it's like, go. We have to be in motion, otherwise we are sleeping. So they have to do it. So anytime, this is what I always say: there is no child who would want to misbehave, and now I'm sure you'll be able to help me in that. No child primarily will just say, I want to misbehave today. So by the time you see that, it's usually more than what you just see at the surface level, because most of us judge them based on what we see in those 5 or 10 minutes we've been able to interact with these children. Yeah. So before you put any judgments or labels to a parent, please, zip it and try to understand where is this one coming from. And we always say you can ask. It's okay to ask, actually. Why is it like this? Some of us are very generous with information. We can school you. We can even go have coffee together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I think it's really important to also talk about those do's and don'ts for people who don't have not experienced children who are or adults who are different. The do's and the don'ts. You know, when you say it is okay to ask, it's a relief for many people because they're like, should I say something? Should I say not? I can see. So any of the do's or don'ts, and I know this is not 10 commandments, but just from your experience, what are some of these things?
Yeah. Okay. So when you see a child pacing, for example, assuming you are in church, or you are assuming you're even in the mall and you just see, a child, because those are some of the places where they really get worked up. Or even you're in a gathering and people are supposed to, sit and listen to, whoever is speaking. And then you realize this child is not able, number one, to sit still. Number two, not even to stand. They just want to go up, down, up, down.
Right.
So usually it's a sign of a system being overwhelmed. Like they're slowly approaching a point where something has to be done immediately. Okay. So if you, for example, you have zero experience and you notice this, you don't say stop. You don't try to hold them, because you doing that only makes the situation worse. So the best thing is find a way of removing. Now, this will depend with whether or not this child trusts you to begin with, because you being a person they don't know automatically is a threat to them. So they don't feel safe enough. Yeah. So you can help, maybe if the parent is there, or if, for example, you are the auntie or the uncle, and then you see this, you can just either hold them and show them out, assuming you are in an indoor place, or if you're in an outdoor, and then maybe there's a lot of people or a lot of activity, remove them from that environment. Or if you are in a safe place and for them it's okay to just run up and down, let them be. Because if you are to interrupt any of this, you are short-circuiting their system, and something worse is even going to happen. So them doing all these activities is what we call self-regulation. They're trying to calm their system. Okay. So if you're going to do anything that will interfere with that, trust me, you're just opening up something that is going to be even worse. Okay. And usually at the highest point is where we have what we call meltdowns. And we usually, when you get to a meltdown, there's nothing you can do. They have to go through that. And that sometimes for some can be 30 minutes, 1 hour of yelling. Some is 30 minutes, 1 hour of breaking things, of throwing things, of just, it can really, really get rough. Okay. So as a way of preventing to get to that end, I always say, when you see a child steaming and you feel like the steaming is getting worse, either remove the environment or remove the child, but they can no longer stay together. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So those are that's like the basic one-on-one. Instead of looking and say, why is this child? Please. It could be the one who's been triggering this child. So
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So either remove the child or remove yourself. Like, something has to change, and it has to change fast. If you're in a place like supermarkets, this is something I've seen it being, I think it's on Target supermarket in the US. What they do is they give you what they call sensory kits. So you find some kids get overwhelmed when, there's bright light, there's a lot of noise, a lot of people. So what they do is for some, they can give them earmuffs. They give them Googles. Some they even give them what we call the weighted jackets, like just to calm, for their bodies to feel calmer. So you go to the supermarket, they have a neurodiversity corner, which is something I think we can actually do it. They have a neurodiversity corner. You go in, pick, you go, and then on your way out, you return for the next person. Yeah. So you see, it's something like that. Like that is that is now a definition of inclusivity. Like, I don't need to say, oh my God, these lights are. You already thought that you already knew I'm going to come, and so you prepared for me. Yeah.
I really love the simplicity with which you are unpacking these. And for me, just sitting here, I see how it's really about working with the brain of this child, or working with the brain of this person. So it removes it from, it is the caregiver's problem or the child's problem. You're saying, you can teach English, but can you teach this child English?
Exactly.
Yeah, you can teach this, but can you teach this? Are you equipped to be able to do that? So definitely there's I'm sure, huge gaps in terms of equipping the caregivers. Yeah. So just tell me a little bit about the mental load, the emotional load that families who have neurodivergent children go through.
Yeah, I know. Well, okay. That's like what, 100 tons?
I know.
It's
Wow.
it's 100 tons. It's even more
Mm-hmm.
than that, yo. It's even more than that.
Mm-hmm.
So number one, it's what I think we were discussing this before. No one prepares you for this. I mean,
Absolutely. Yeah.
no one. Like,
Mm-hmm.
no one. I remember
Mm-hmm.
when I keep on giving examples for my own experience.
Of
I
course.
remember when I got my son, everything was fine. I mean, I had a handsome boy. I mean, my baby came out big. He was 4 kilos. I mean, those kids,
Mm.
everybody's like,
Bouncing
oh
baby
my
boy.
God. Yeah,
Yeah.
those ones. Exactly. He
Yeah.
was like, he still is, but those beautiful babies, like everybody's like, oh my
Mm.
God, your baby's beautiful. And that's just what you're expecting. Like, that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're expecting.
Mm.
And then he grows, everything is fine. I was already a pediatrician by then. So I remember him getting to 1 year and there was no speech.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yes, we had seen, I had seen the telltale signs of neurodiversity, but no, like I was
Not,
like, it
not
can't be. It
future.
cannot
Yeah.
be. It cannot be.
At what point did you start to see? I mean, you're a pediatrician, you are a
Yeah.
specialist in that area, but at what point did you start to see that?
I personally said at 9 months.
Okay.
Because he was quiet. He was quiet. I remember I had noticed he was quiet, but I remember there was a time my mom visited and
Mm.
she asked, "Your child is not saying anything." And I was like, "What? What are you trying to say? Please. This is my firstborn, and they are not children,
Yeah.
and it's a boy. I mean,
Yeah.
please, I do
All the
not want
reasons
to."
why. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I was very defensive, like
Mm.
extreme. Like, you talk of your children, please leave my kid alone.
Right.
I was that kind of a mother. But yeah, it's done. And I remember also when he turned 1, we did a birthday for him. And you see, kawaida, you bring toys, first birthday, first child, you go
Mm.
your way, you do. And I remember he was given toys. He never loved the toys that he was given. Never. Like, even it was the siblings who came to use the toys. He was not
Mm.
interested. I
Mm-hmm.
will notice at that time he loved drumming. As a 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
that's what he liked, drumming.
Mm-hmm.
So he would just drum and drum and drum. Then he picked rulers. He would work with all kinds of rulers. Like, you go to the, other kids are busy looking for other things. He wants rulers or threads. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember on this particular day, we went for a birthday party and he threw a tantrum. I mean, that was the first day I saw him on a proper meltdown. And I remember sitting with him on the ground because he was taking off. I had to go catch him. We just sat on the ground like genie.
Mm.
He was yelling. I remember just telling myself, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time. Yeah. It came with a lot of pain, a lot of
Mm.
questions. To be sincere, I asked questions. I told God, like, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Firstborn? Okay, I don't know if it would have been different if it was any other,
Yeah,
but
I know.
really?
I know. But there's so much hope. This is your first baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm.
I asked questions. For a moment. I think God was like, the way you are looking at your child, just yelling at you. You're like, I think for a moment God was like that with me. Like, I was just telling him, no, it can't be. I
Mm.
can't. I can't. I can't. And you see now the way my kids are. By the time I was like having all that, I was already having a second born.
Mm.
So I was like, what the hell? Like, what is this one? Are we going to have? Are we going to go through this? Because they all started so well and everything was fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember it, you know, so at that point in time, I had this younger one, my second born, and then now I had him. So
Mm.
I still, I don't know if it's the right way to say it, I still feel bad about it that I completely shifted focus from my second born to
Mm.
now. Like, I felt like the fact I'm a pediatrician, I can fix this. Like, for
Yeah.
some reason, that's what I knew. For some reason, that's what I believe. Like, I have to fix this. And
Mm.
fixing it ASAP. It has to be fixed as soon as possible. So I went into this phase of reading. Like I read about autism.
Mm.
I'll dream about autism. I'll eat autism. Like, I just needed to understand what the hell is this and why is it my son? What did I do? What did I not do? Like, you have 1,001 questions. Why is this coming from? Like, I've never seen any of our family members. It's also the same for the dad. Like, why now? So the more I read, in that attitude, in that mindset of fixing my son, the more he pushed me away completely, like completely. It got to a point where he did not even want to see me. I thank God I had a very good nanny, may God bless her. He would choose to sleep with the nanny. He would choose the nanny he would not even want to come near me.
That must have been hard.
Yes. And now you see, I have this thought like, what the hell is this? So I remember one day I just told God, okay, I gave up. See, this is your child as well, Nisawa. You do what you want. Like, you know what? I'm a mom. I'll just do what mothers do. Even in DNA, but that was coming from a point of being broken. I think God was just, that God allows you to go through and you reach the end. And he just decides, you know what, I'm still God and I'm the one in charge. And at the end of it all, this one is also my child. So I had to get to that point that it's true. It's actually true. There's absolutely nothing that I did to have this child. And maybe there's absolutely nothing that I can do to change the course of life for this child. So that I came to that realization that I can only become the best mother, the best parent this child deserves. And then the rest of things will happen. We'll deal with them as they come. It was not an easy thing at all. There's a lot of emotional pain, emotional burden. Still, you have to think of, oh my God, what's going to happen 10 years from today? What's going to happen 20 years from today? What's going to happen to him? What about the siblings? People still ask me, how did you have all these other children after him? Because that's also fear for most parents. Like the odds of having another child are very, very high. But I think for me, by the time I was in there, it was already too late. So when with all these things, it really brings you to a place of humility, meekness, that there's life and then there's the owner of life. Yeah. And so you surrender. And I think for me, it was one of the most lowest point of my life, but one of the best things that I ever did. It's just, letting go, surrender. I told God, you know what, whether I'm here tomorrow or I'm not, this is your child. You take care. You take charge of this. And trust me, from the point of that moment, I started seeing my child as a completely different person. I shifted from things he can't do to the things he can. So slowly I started now the nurturing work again. You love this, let's work with this. You love this, what do kids of 3-year-old boys do? Let's try this. Can you do no? Which milestones are you supposed? So we started walking that journey. We removed from me fixing him to a boy that I wanted, to me embracing him to become what he's got. Like, it's easy to clear up flower blooms. You allow it to just become. Yeah, so you work with the only thing I just had to make sure is some milestones are delayed. Yes, you make peace with that. But for the ones that are not, you make sure he's able to achieve them just like any other child. And I think now with more reading, you appreciate the fact that the little that you implement on him and you actually see the change. Yeah. So it comes with a lot of emotional baggage. Like just that diagnosis, it feels like a brick on your head.
Right.
And then on the journey of accepting that, okay, this is my child. And they may not be who I thought they were going to be, but they are going to be something completely different. But still, even that one is still beautiful. So being able to reach there, it's a journey. It's a journey and a half. And then now comes, I always say I thank God because I knew like where to read, where to get information, what to look for. Because sometimes I wonder what happens to a mother who is completely blue. Like it's so heavy. And unfortunately, at least that time when my child was being born, there were not many places that you could actually go to get help. Yeah. That was also the other thing. Because I remember going to I will not mention, but to going to one of the doctors, we spent like 3 minutes and he just told me my child has autism. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what am I supposed to do? He's like, go do, what is this? Go do hearing test, go do speech therapy. Where? Go. Like, what?
In a very dismissive, detached way.
Yeah. And it was on that time I made the decision I will study for my child. That I will understand autism more than maybe anybody else, because it's life for my child. And actually that was the time I made that decision. And true to that, I went digging. Like everything that my son would show, I made sure I understand why, where, when, how. Like I made sure. And that's how we walked through that journey. And it took me, I had not even, it never even crossed my mind that I'll be doing this today. It never, completely never. Like it was purely, I need to help like the fact I'm a pediatrician, I should be able to help so my focus was just helping my child. That was my focus. Yeah. So to answer your question, it comes with a lot of emotional pain, because I'm imagining you're born in the middle of nowhere, your child has autism. Because even getting the diagnosis is a challenge. Just someone being able to explain to you your child is actually different, because everybody will be commenting about how different your child is, but no one is telling you what exactly is happening. No one. No one. So these are the kids. I remember talking to one of the moms. Okay, I cried. They say they have to tie this child with a rope to a tree every morning, because if they leave this child inside the house, they're going to find everything broken. The parents have to go. So this was a grandmother. You know, the mother just got pregnant. You know, you get pregnant and the dad disappears, and now you have a child on the spectrum. So this child was taken to the grandmother because this girl has to get money to be able to sustain this boy. Like there's no way you can get a nanny, a good nanny for that matter, to be able to live with this child. So it was taken to Shags. This grandmother has to go to the market, so they have to tie this boy. Can you imagine?
That is heartbreaking.
It's painful. It's painful.
You can imagine, on top of that, just the trauma to that child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it comes with a lot. It comes with a lot. And you can imagine now the stigma that just arises from that. Because now it means anytime you mention autism, that's the picture that comes. Yeah. And I feel that's where most of the stigma is, based on your experience or what you've seen or what you've heard. So changing that to telling someone actually there's another way, it's not easy. It's not easy.
Because nobody sees the spectrum aspect of it. They see the extreme. They see what they connected what they have heard and what they have seen.
They've seen, exactly. Yeah. So it comes with a lot of emotional pain, the social well-being. You know, there are so many papers published about the mothers of children. Okay, I don't know why not fathers, but mothers, because mothers are the primary caregivers. But most of the papers are actually for mothers. And they say the level of stress is like being on a fight and flight mode 24/7. It's like being in a war, being in a place that is being attacked by bombs, and anything can happen to you anytime. So you can imagine living with such level of stress hormones in the body. The quality of life completely changes.
Right.
If you're not very intentional, if you don't have the support, if you don't have the means, it completely throws you off. It completely throws you off. Yeah. And you see, the fact no one told you about, you see, you are not saying, okay, in 2025, I'll be getting a child on the spectrum. So between now and then,
let me prepare. Yeah.
It just hits you. It just hits you. Yeah.
That is quite a journey, and a journey of grieving, you know, with all the stages of grief. And they say the last stage of grieving is acceptance. But for you, I think you go into acceptance, then you go back to anger, you go back to blaming, you go back to bargaining, you know. There is so much roller coaster of emotions that come.
Yes. Yeah. And you see, on top of that, I always say life continues to happen, you.
You have two other children. You have two other children. You're raising them. Just speak into that dynamic, because I've also had a lot of parents struggle with the fact that their children feel like this child, you're giving them too much attention. Just speak into that space.
Yeah. So actually, there's this effect that was published called glass child effect.
Glass child.
Yeah, glass child effect. Where now, because everyone is, has shifted focus to this, child who needs more care and more attention. These other children feel like they're glass. They're not seen. They're just transparent. Like they are there, but really no one pays attention. Yeah. So what happens is, of course, self-esteem, self-confidence, issues with attachment. It has been shown even later in life. And that's why when it comes to siblings, like you have to really inclusivity has to start from home. And if this child has siblings, that's where it needs to start. Because as a child, they need to know, yes, they have a brother or they have a sister who is different. Of course, you'll be giving information based on the age of the children. As they grow, you also
Age
add
appropriate.
yeah. But the whole idea is they need to understand that they have a child, they have a sibling who is different, and you may need to understand what exactly that difference is, so that when they see something or when they hear something that is inappropriate, either they correct the brother or the sister, or you see, like the way you have a siblings relationship, or they become the mouthpiece, because most of them sometimes they have challenges with communication, so they become a mouthpiece to this sibling. Now that is good, but also has its own issue, because some parents, they've over depended on it, so it feels like this sibling now becomes the caretaker of the brother or the sister. So you find a child becoming a caretaker or a caregiver at a very young age. They are yet to become children and understand who am I and all that. And then now all of a sudden they have a younger sister or even an older sister or an older brother who they have to make sure that, no one bullies, no one says bad things or mean things to them, stand up for them, speak for them. Okay. So there's that very delicate balance. And that's why I always advocate for intentional, I always like me time with each child, like allow this child to just be a child, let there be boundaries. As a parent, you're still the primary caregiver of this child. But I totally understand, because well, you can imagine you're a single parent, a mother of 3 or 4, you have to take care of all this. They come home, this thing of saying, oh, okay, now today we are having 10 minutes with you, you can do, but most of the time you can't. So it's life happening and time moving, things have to happen. So I always ask parents, allow this child who is on the spectrum or neurodivergent to be as independent as possible. Let this child not be feeling that it's somebody else's responsibility to make sure they are safe, or to make sure somebody is kind to them. Like, try. Of course, it depends with where they are on the spectrum. I totally respect that. But even with that, try as much as you can. And that's why I insisted on the intellectual disability aspect. Because even if child has intellectual disability, there are things they can learn. They will learn slower, for sure. They'll have to do things in a very simplistic way, but it's something they can learn. And I always say, any child who has challenges with neurodivergency, personal space is mandatory. Them taking care of their personal space, knowing I should not be touched, I should not be seen, no one should come too close to me. Like, those things, they're like, it's like learning how to eat. They are survival strategies. Survival strategies. Doesn't matter if your child can speak or not, they should be able to know this touch is inappropriate. They should be able to know that. Okay, there's so many ways we may have to use strategies that we may have to teach them, but them protecting, they can take everything else, but their personal space, we try as much as we can to make sure that space is protected by them, because they'll always have it with them. The sibling, one day they'll be here, the next day they may not be here, but they should be able to know no one should do some things for me. Yeah. And that's why we truly advocate for independence from a very young age. A 3-year-old who is on the spectrum and a 3-year-old who's typical, the one on the spectrum, there are things they may struggle with, but not all things. Invest on the things that they are good at, they are already able to keep up with. Invest on that. Most of the times you feel like this child is different, this child is special, and so everything has to be done for them. It's wrong. It's very, very wrong. Yeah. So when it comes to sibling, it's the same thing. They have to know, this is, my sibling has challenges, but it's not their primary responsibility to take care of them. And it is okay for them to fight. It is okay for them to they should not be treated in any special way. No. That relationship should be as real as it comes. They should fight, they should call each other names, throw each other's things, break. I mean, the way you interact with your brothers and sisters, that's exactly how they're supposed to, because the world out there will even be more harsh to them. So it's
don't
best
rush to rescue.
No, you should never even rescue. I mean, no sibling can kill me. They can't kill each other.
That's true. Yeah.
They won't kill each other. But for sure there are lessons they're able to learn. There's respect that comes with that.
Social skills, conflict resolution, all that. They learn in those spaces.
They have to. Whether they can express themselves or they can't, they have to learn it. It's the hard way, but that's just their life.
Wow, so much to share. And for me, I'm so grateful that you integrate your experience as well as your expertise, to be able to give this information and create
Mhm.
those spaces. So what
Mm,
support is available out there, Dr. Lema? What support is
yeah.
available out there?
Mm,
Tell me.
yeah. Well, so today life is better, I can say. It's not the best,
Mm,
but it's better.
mm,
It's much
mm,
better. There are so many support groups. Like
mhm,
if you're in Kenya, there are so many support groups. There are so
mm,
many organizations that have outings for parents who are on the spectrum,
mm,
either mothers or fathers. There are so many out there. There are also, we thank God for social media because it's very easy to find information today. I mean,
mm,
I always tell my clients, you can just call me, yo, I feel like crying. I just tell them,
mm,
come, let's hug, because
mm,
I remember those moments where you're like, damn, I thought I'd known this. What the hell has just
mm,
happened?
mm,
Yeah.
mm, mm,
Maybe I can share this. I remember there was a day a lady called me. She just saw me on TikTok,
mm,
and she just told me, Neema, I want to kill myself. Like it was just like that. Like I'm going to kill myself. Why? Single parent, young girl, lives with a sister,
mm,
child on the spectrum, both ASD and ADHD. She just felt like this child, like she felt like she has tried everything she can, and she felt like that was the end.
mm,
She called me crying, like we cried and cried. Like, those things someone calls you, and then first 30 minutes is crying. You don't even know why you're
mm.
crying, but you just cry fast.
Both of you.
Like that. Yes. Because I was like, okay, this something. And you see, she just picked my number.
Mm,
So after that, and also she started talking and talking and talking and talking and talking. I think we spent like almost 2 hours
mhm,
just talking and talking and talking and talking. Now later, that's when she was like, "Thank you. That was gonna be my last day of being alive."
mm.
So you can imagine how pushed she was,
To the end. Yeah. And
because
sometimes
there are
that's
times
all
you
we
are
need.
right, exactly.
Mm.
Yeah,
You were saying
you're
sometimes.
in the group of people, but you're alone. You feel
Mm.
no one sees you, no one understands you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm.
So we thank God for such. Even if I always say, when we do, sometimes people are like, why are you like consistent? I always say, if I can just change
Mhm.
one person,
Mm.
for me, that's it.
Mm.
Just one person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's now the fuel that helps you. That because I'm out there, people trust you, and so they
Right.
come and share with you very inner secrets of their hearts, and you
Mm.
respect that.
Mm.
And so they support. Of course, in that space, okay, there's a lot of people who also take advantage of people,
Mhm. Mhm.
and that's why you really have to be keen, if I may use that word. But I always say, do not be desperate,
Mhm.
because desperation will always lead you to the wrong people most of
Make
the
the wrong
times.
decisions. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, most of the time. So you have to have at least someone on speed dial. You will know, when the going gets tough, I just dial
Mm.
this number. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
I
And there are
think
also
that's
lots of
very
WhatsApp
important.
support groups. Yes,
Mhm.
but yeah, it's better right now, and I believe
Mm.
it can only get better. It's just that
Yeah.
now not everyone is genuine, so you have to do
Mhm.
that, that kind of work for yourself. Yeah.
Betting. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Mm.
mm,
Yeah, I mean, it is really out now in the public domain about the
mm,
many support groups that are there. Again, thank
mm.
God for social media, so we are able to
Yeah.
access a lot of this information. And I'm glad
Mm,
that you are there to also offer that support. I know
mm,
you have a special tool
yeah.
that you give. Do you want to talk a little bit about it as we wrap up?
Yes. So where is it? So yeah, so I thought of giving out to whoever is going to watch this what I consider to be a playbook for belonging.
Mm-hmm.
Because we really, one of the things that we don't feel, first of all, as a parent of what child on the spectrum, and even for our children, is, do we really fit in? Do we really fit in these conversations? Can we really be able to express ourselves without us being judged, or
Mm-hmm.
people looking at that in ways that are like, what is this? Okay, so I
Mm-hmm.
thought it's for home, for parents, schools, whoever really is going to use it, like just strategies that we can always be thinking through anytime we're in a place. One of the things I always say, do not wait for a neurodiverse person to raise their hand, because by the time they're doing that, it means you did not include them. They should come in finding systems already put in place that so that we appreciate the fact that actually whoever did this had us in mind. So that was really the whole idea. So things like acceptance, as a parent, accept your child. I know this is easier said than done, but I'll just say it. Accept your child. Accept your child. Yes, we didn't ask for it, but at this point in time, this child is under your care. So you can make or break them. It is easier to make them. Yeah. Okay. So always come from a point of acceptance. And I remember, when my son was much younger, and that time of, that attitude of fixing, it pushed him away from me completely. And had to do a lot of work to be able to regain that trust. And trust me, for neurodiverse children, hey, that's work.
It's a lot of work.
A lot of work. Yeah. So that one. The second thing I would say is always come from a point of understanding before correcting. Because I know sometimes we have that okay, this child is behaving in ways we don't consider to be normal. So, your instinctual reaction is stop. Why are you doing this? That, as I say, if you don't understand what they're trying to figure out, just leave them alone. Okay. So acceptance, and then I would say connect. I think that's connect before correcting.
Correct.
Yes, that one. It's very, very key. And this runs through anytime you see a child overwhelmed, connect fast. Even you, I don't know, it doesn't matter what they've done or they have not done. Because if you don't connect, you cannot even correct this child. Okay? So that would be the second thing. And then the third thing, we should always be sensitive to their sensory needs. And that's what I'll say. You go into a supermarket, you're given a sensory kit. You'll forever go to that supermarket. Yeah. You go to church, the same thing. You go to schools, the same thing. I always say, I think what I have said that already, a teacher who's not able to deliver information to a neurodivergent brain, the issue is not with the neurodivergent brain. The issue is with the teaching skills. Yeah. Okay. So we need to change that mindset that, watoto hawaelewagi sijui what. Sorry, I spoke in Swahili, but okay. So we need to change that mindset that if I'm teaching and this child is not getting it, maybe I need to go to school myself more to understand how they process information, so that I may be able to deliver this information to this brain, as opposed to wanting to bend this brain into your lack of knowledge. Very important. The other thing is the right for communication. Now, one of the challenges that comes with neurodivergence is communication. And yes, for some, they do not have communication, like in terms of using words. They are not able to use words at all. They're not able to speak. And for some, that's going to be 30% of people who are neurodivergent will never speak. It's like that. 70% will speak. Only like 20 or 30% will be able to be fluent, like the way we are doing now. So a chunk of them will have something called functional speech, where they can say what they want. They can shop, like they can do just functional things, but they will not be able to have all these, flowing conversation like the way we're doing it right now. So that means every child should be heard. It is easier to say, and this is what most parents say, but they can obey commands, they can obey instruction. But you see, that's not communication. That's one way. That's you feeding. How do you know what they're feeling? How do you know what they want? How do you know where they want to go? So if your child has speech delay from a very young age, make sure you are able to adopt into some form of communication early on. And this can come from visual, what we use the visual cards. These days, we even have apps that have that. So you don't even need to go buy the cards. You can have apps, download, give that to your phone. Let them be using that as a first level of communication when you're still going to trying to figure out things. So every child should always have a right to communication, whether they're going to use visual cards, they're going to use the soft. We have text to speech and speech to text. So we have all these things that thanks to technology. So you do not have a reason to say haongeagi. I mean, they can't talk. They are not talking. That cannot end there. Yes, they are not talking, but what are you doing about it? It has to become a right. Okay? If it doesn't matter, this again, homeschool, church, wherever, community, everyone has a right to communicate. Okay? And then the other thing I would say is having some community around them. Now, sometimes having a child on the spectrum, you find yourself being, either you isolate yourself or being isolated, but there's just a way, everything just, some people disappear, and you may, if you like, you may gain new ones, but there are those ones who are left alone. I know quite a number of people who they are left alone. Okay. And that's not a very healthy way of you as a parent or caregiver. Your mental health is not a very healthy way of living your life. You need people around you. You need a very good support system around you. You don't need a lot of people, but you need someone who you can comfortably go to and tell them, you know what, I'm fed up. Just take this child. Give me another 24 hours. I need to clear a few things in my mind. You need that. We all need that. Okay? And even for this child, they need to have friends. They need to have people around them. It's so paradoxical that when you have a firstborn who's on the spectrum, you'd not want to have other children. So many families are like that, by the way. They'll say like, "What? I cannot have this twice."
And
You know?
another one,
Yeah,
just the
yeah.
trauma.
But then you realize the best way for this child to learn social skills is through the siblings. Okay? If you're lucky enough, you have nieces and nephews of the same age, then maybe. But still, it's not the same. You see, during school holidays, that may work. But during, times that are school and all that, there are always those gaps. So we need to, I always say about my micro community, we need to have a community around these children. And I always say, it doesn't matter if they're neurodivergent, the friends are neurodivergent as well, it's okay. But if they're neurotypical, the better. Because that is also a way of killing stigma. Making people understand that, yes, this boy is neurodivergent, this girl is neurodivergent, but you can still play together. They may not be able to follow the rules like the way you guys, follow the rules, but they have to be there to see when you laugh, when you guys quarrel, when you fight, when you shout, when you cheer, when you're sad. They need to see those things. No one can teach you those things. You need to live them. You need to experience them. Yeah. And the best way to experience them is in a community. So there are so many others. I think we don't need to go through all that, but just in a nutshell, it's very important. The sense of belonging is an ecosystem. I always say, every single day, from the time the child wakes up to the time they're coming back to bed, there have to be systems that make sure this child feels they belong in this home, they belong in this school, they belong in this community. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so many words of nuggets and wisdom, and thank you so much for sharing from your experience and from expertise. You're so passionate about this, and as we wrap this up, I know we are going to also give all your details and how people can find you so that they can be able to connect, because there is so much that you have to offer. Thank you so much, Dr. Lema, for being here and for opening spaces for conversations around neurodivergent families to continue to take place. Do you have one final word to transform fear into hope?
Yeah. So what I can say is, first of all, thank you. Thank you so much for this opportunity once again. It's always an honor. I always feel so privileged when I have to share this. As I told you, when I was studying back then, I never knew there's going to be this part of my life. Actually, it took 10 years. When my son hit 10 years, that's when somebody actually told me, maybe you should do this. I actually got it. Wow. It had not even crossed my mind. Like 10 years later. Wow. Yeah. And that's when I was like, actually, maybe. That's when I started. Yeah. So it's now 2 years plus. So it's always an honor to really do this. So what I can say is, you see, like the way I know you're passionate about family, and that's how I'm going to end. Building thriving families is not an event. It is a continuous process of putting up systems that will make sure that this child, no matter where they are, no matter who they are with, they'll be able to know who they are. Their needs will be able to be met. And systems and structures have been put in place to make sure that this child's needs are met, and they are also able to meet their needs. And because of that self-confidence, if anything doesn't happen the way it's supposed to be, not in a narcissistic way, but in a way that protects their esteem and their boundaries, they should be able to raise up their hands and say, I think you've crossed the boundary. So it's the same. It is the same for our neurodivergent families. It is the same. It's just that ours have to be done with a lot more work. Maybe a lot more compassion. Okay. Maybe a lot more tears. But still, a thriving child, whether neurodivergent or neurotypical, has to be put in the systems that thrive. Okay. As you said, you only need one adult. I totally agree with that statement. You need one adult and a peer who's going to be able to stand there with you. Yeah, that's what I can say. Like that. Yeah.
One stable adult and a peer who is going to stand in there with you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing such insights and understanding to this space. And I hope this conversation encourages everyone to see the beauty, the resilience, and the strength in every child, the same way you have encouraged us to do. And may we all build spaces where all families can thrive, including neurodivergent families. Thank you very much, Dr. Lema.
Thank you so much. And this is such a beautiful thing. Well done.
Thank you.